Very special episode today. This has been a year in the making. A good friend of mine, he went on a sabbatical, journeyed the world of dentistry, saw lots of people, went on amazing adventures. He's come back. He's back in town. You might know him by the name of Mr. Tyler McClendon. There he is, in the flesh.
Well, hello. It's so ominous in here.
What brought you out of this room?
What took me away from this room?
It's in your house.
Am I loud enough? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How about let's just get away from the silly stuff.
Oh, I like it. We should do the whole show like this.
Should we just do the whole... It's like a whole storm, you know?
It tells a story. We see there was a dark cloud and it came over. And
Yeah.
now the sun is coming. The phoenix is rising.
Oh, hang on. Yeah, and then, there was like... It's now like...
The phoenix is rising from the ashes.
Ooh, I like that. Oh, no, that was what happened.
The cops are here, apparently.
That's what started this all. Let's not go there. Anyways, Tyler, my friend, my partner in crime.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me back.
It's great to have you back.
Yeah, it is. I missed this room.
Yeah, this room missed
Cheers.
you, buddy.
Cheers.
For various reasons, I don't want to dive into that. I want to dive into this journey that I've been on with you over the last 7 years. The things we've seen.
7 years.
7 years, believe
Good
it or not.
Lord.
It's been 7 goddamn years of us doing this thing.
Holy shit.
Yes.
I never swear on our podcast. I should swear more.
No, we can swear today. Yeah. Today's special. It's like I did one of these on my own too a couple weeks ago. It's just raw, like it's us. There's nothing. We're not hiding anything here. I let
it all hang out.
And I think it's I'm tired of people just hiding stuff. Like just be yourself. Just be yourself. We can sniff it out.
I like those podcasts where people are just themselves.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give a shout out. One of the podcasts I've really started listening to lately, with this interest rate bullshit that's been going on the last couple of years. There's a podcast called The Looney Hour.
Okay.
And when I first started listening to them, I'm like, listen to these 3 Canadian yokels.
The Looney Hour. Who is it?
And I mean that in a nice way. They're Rich Diaz. Oh man, Steve Sawarski. I mangled his name, I'm sure. And then Boomer is the other gentleman's name. I'm forgetting his name right now. But anyways, I digress. But I listen to their podcast, and the one thing I really like about it is that they're just you see their personalities. At first, I'm like, oh man, this show is painfully Canadian. But then you watch it, and you're like, oh, or I listen to it every week. And the one thing I love about their show is that like their personalities come out. And then every week I look forward to hearing what they have to say about, the market, the economy, what's going on, GDP, all that stuff. I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to GDP and numbers and the economy and that kind of stuff. But yeah, like shout out to those guys. They've got a really cool podcast and it's completely different from dentistry. Like it's not even in the same stratosphere as what we do. But if you're into economics, if you're into numbers, if you're an investor, whatever, I highly recommend watching The Looney Hour. Those guys they got their shit together.
Yeah. One thing that I've tried to do in this room over the last year is, everybody's got their agenda or things they're talking about, like KOL situation or a product or a service. That's cool. But like, I think people are glazing over the important bits, and that's the human side of things. And I see that with like some of our fellow colleagues out there and advertisement and all that kind of stuff. In a
nice way.
Yeah, everybody. Okay, so this is kind of my take on it. Like, everybody thinks everybody else is dumb, right?
Everybody, what?
Everybody
thinks everybody else is dumb.
Yeah, everybody's so dumb, but we're actually not. And
it's kind of trolling though. I think everyone's kind of gotten away from that trolling bullshit.
I'm tired of being like, the trolling, the sales trolls. You know what I mean? Maybe. Like it's the there's a lot of weird characters out there. Like,
do you find that?
Yeah, a lot of tryhards.
This is interesting. So like, we're getting really candid today. I love this.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're throwing labels out there. You're saying there's tryhards.
Yeah.
Things that people think is dumb. Give me an example. What do you mean?
I think people just find they're misplaced in their approach, I think.
Okay.
I think a lot of
I'm
people.
gonna play devil's advocate here.
I love it. It's good. I think a lot of people create in what they think others want
Okay.
versus creating more in a genuine state of mind. An example is like, yeah, you want to cater your messaging to your audience, but if I just find that things are half baked when you're trying to like put together something that you think people want to hear versus creating something that that will really resonate. And
Personal branding. Yeah.
I see, I see things performing better on a sort of a, at a macro level with the actual genuine storytelling. Like, yes, you've got a really amazing product or service, but I think as soon as people smell the sale, it's white noise to them because it's just, there's an abundance of noise coming at us.
There's a pitch buried in here somewhere.
Yeah, it's like what are we getting at? You know what I mean? Like people are okay waiting for the pitch where it's like, how about instead of that, base it more on education or personal, like every good venture I think is somebody that's like developed something because they see sort of the void in something, right? So, why did that lead up to that? Like where was that inception? Like, you know what I mean? Like versus this really weird painting a picture, like highly commercialized, like, I don't know.
I think you're right, but I think people are starting to get onto this now. Like with AI, there's a major shift happening in the way sales is being done. Right?
Mm-hmm.
This is where I think you're going. I think you're talking about a little bit like you're living in the sales universe right now, right?
I'm living in like marketing and sales universe.
Marketing and sales. So
yeah.
I think the major shift that I'm seeing unfold in front of us is, quick digression. Like, I'm terrible at personal branding. Right. This is like for 2025. This is part of my game that I want to start bringing up. This is, I love that you asked me to come in and just chat today because I'm like, this is a great thing for me just to get a snapshot of where we are right now.
Yes.
In our lives. But like going back to the whole, like contextualizing what you're saying about, is the messaging right? Is it fit? Is it the story? Like, are you trying to fit a square into a circle peg, whatever? I'm starting to see we're all kind of in a simulation.
I think we might be.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the Lara Crofts of the world, what's a male version of Lara Croft, right? Or Lara Croft, I should say. But like, it feels like we're all in a video game and whatever we're all trying to achieve, the salesperson is the Sherpa that runs up beside you and they're like, hey.
The NPC.
They're the NPC. Well, no, they're not an NPC because you thought they were an NPC. All of a sudden they switch on. And they run beside you and they're like, hey, I see that you really need this accounting software. For only $30 a month, you can have it. And then you're like, no, not interested. And then they run away. Right?
Yeah.
And then someone else runs along like, hey, I see you're paying too much for car insurance. Try this subscription.
Hey, or my favorite, do you have 15 minutes for a call?
You
right?
got 15 minutes for a call.
No, I don't actually. No. And as soon as I get that, I switch off. Like I don't want it anymore. There's actually been some great conversations that I've had about maybe having a guest on the show. Yeah. And then they throw me hey, do you let's jump on a call for 15 minutes so that I can I don't know why that is, but like I have some sort of instinctual like block that comes up when I hear that now.
Yeah. So I think the sales game has not changed. I'm just going to say that right out of the gate. I think sales, it's like you find a need, you address that need, you sell them the product that fits that need. It's sales. It's never going to change. It's been this way for a millennium, right? In 2,000 years, we're still going to find a need and sell them something to fill a need.
Yeah.
I think what's changed, what's undergone a major transformation is the story, is the conversation, is the how are you interacting? How are you engaging with that person, right? So, as soon as we get a whiff that someone's like jumping on my DMs to sell me something, like everybody gets turned off. It's like, I'm out of here. See you later. I don't want this.
Yeah.
You're about to sell me something. I'm not interested because you're in our minds. I think that we're imperceptibly noticing that someone's like, oh, I'm going to sell this guy something. Here it comes. Here, I'm about to. When someone says you got 15 minutes, that's probably one of the worst ways to enter a conversation, in my opinion.
It's awful.
It's terrible. But no offense to anyone. I'm just saying, like, I've done it. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm guilty as charged. But my point is that, like, if you got to find a more creative way to resonate with someone, with your audience. I'll give you an example. I followed this guy. This guy was a 47-year-old guy on Instagram, and I don't remember his name, whatever. But he said something. He was like jacked. He's ripped. He's lifting weights or whatever. And of course, I'm like, oh, I got to lose some weight. So I see him on my Instagram, and he's like, you should, try, not drinking for a couple months and work out or whatever. He was saying all this kind of like sort of stock, like, wellness bullshit. But then there was something in what he was saying that resonated with me that I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I like what he's doing there. So I followed him. I'm like, I'm going to follow this guy. I kind of want to see where this guy's going. I want to see the journey this guy's going on. Because he was doing some pretty decent work. He was like putting some nice posts out there. And then I started following him. And then literally like a day later, he DM'd me. He's like, hey, thanks for following me. What brought you to my page? So I was like, okay, fair. From one sales guy to another, I'm like, I respect your game. I see what you're doing. I liked your Instagram. You were obviously creating content that was engaging enough for me to follow and engage with. But when he's like, what brought you to my Instagram page? I haven't answered him because I'm like, I don't want to expose myself. I don't want to tell you why. But it's a great question.
Right.
His game was on point there because he was like, what brought you to my page? It forces me to give him he gave me an open-ended question. Engagement in this game is everything. So like you engaged with this, like you followed, that's like a pretty big thing. Yeah. So and he was astute enough to see that I followed him. He's like, oh, this guy looks like he's around my age. He's the same personality as me. He sees that I'm jacked. Maybe he wants to get ripped too. I think his trigger point is somebody follows his page. He must send that to everyone that follows his page. Oh, of course, yeah. Right? I mean, it's smart in my opinion. Is that, in your opinion, is that an invitation to do that? Like, is that okay? Like, where is it not okay? And my mind always goes to the used car sales lot. Like that type of. I like his tactic. It's a tactic. I know, right? I'm in sales. I just like his tactic because it's like it kind of doesn't give you an out. The only out you have is to not respond. You unfollow? You unfollow and you like back out of there. And he's like, great, I just eliminated that guy. That tire kicker's now out of my stream, right? Yeah. So I think it's a pretty clever tactic to say like this pre-qualifies someone. As soon as they answer, so I was going to answer and say, I don't know, I like that post where you're like, stay off alcohol for a couple months and get like whatever messaging. I forget what it was like. It made me actually question why I followed him. Sure. Right. And I mean, the conversation that would start after that would be a pretty relevant conversation. So what is it that he's selling? Is it workout programs? Is it? I don't even remember. Supplements or he's a combination? He's clearly selling something. Sure. He's got 200,000 followers, whatever. He's doing well. Good for him. He's developed some good systems. But as soon as it was what brought you to my page, I was like, oh, what a smart question. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, too, it's a numbers game, right? Maybe you don't answer, but maybe he's got a percentage of folks that do answer, and that's his strategy. Well, he's engaging. Yeah. He wants me to tell. He's like, you see my story. What's your story? So what's, in your opinion, what's off limits? Where do you not go for the kill? Oh, when you're engaging someone? Like what platform, where you know what I mean? Like, like where is it not okay to go in for the sale? I think really like personal shit. Sure. Like Facebook is that's a tough one. Yeah. Because there's so much personal content on Facebook. It's really like, it's such an advertising spot. It's a great place to advertise and do reels and all the short stories or whatever, the shorts. That I think that if you show up on someone's Meta and you're like, what's up? Yeah. Looks like you're, well, sorry, I shouldn't say Meta. I mean Facebook specifically. If you show up on Facebook and you're like, hey, I see that you have a pretty puppy. You have a nice dog. I have a nice dog. Yeah. Tell me about your dog. It's like, whoa, creep, delete. So another thing that, we were guilty of this in the past too, is like that, the automated systems, you know what I mean? It's the
it's a blatant just blanket campaign where it's the same static messaging to every demographic. You can tell it's like, it's usually an email. Like emails are crazy, right? These days you get so many and DMs and things like that. I think it's a level, like there's a strategy involved here. It's like, I'm going to blanket this. And if I get 1% conversion, like that has just made it so, it's so noisy now. Like with that strategy,
everybody's obsessed with
let's
scaling
book a call. Like
everybody's obsessed with scale.
Yeah.
They're like, how do you scale that? How do you scale that?
Yeah.
How do you scale that? You know what? Why don't you run a $200,000 or $300,000 company where you make 40 points and live your life, enjoy it?
Yeah.
There's no shame in that.
Yeah.
Right. I just think that, with these things have created a mindset where we're like, we got to scale, we got to digitize, we got to automate, we got to use AI to really sort of leverage it. At the end of the day, I think we're telling, like, you and I tell stories for a living, right?
Yeah.
I was an actor for 20 years. You're an amazing cinematographer and an editor, and we make amazing videos for all of our clients. So we're telling these stories, but it's like, how far away do you get from the story when you start implementing a lot of these automations?
That's where I'm getting, Ty. It's like, are we taking the human element out of sales? Like, what's the best form? Do you think the best form is face-to-face? In my opinion,
yes.
that is the
100%.
best. It's probably the highest converting if you can, and that's like a tough road. Mm-hmm. And it's the scaling piece. Now you can use your automation to key up those calls, like call setting, right?
All the other stuff, yeah. Like the automation should be used for that.
Yeah.
Setting up the calls, bringing the warm leads in. But when it comes to closing the sale, it's like, you have to contextualize it. You have to have a conversation. Yeah. You have to learn about your prospective client to say, you know what? I've talked to you for 20 minutes. This isn't a good product for you.
Yeah, exactly. And, we've had to see people out. We've, had to let clients go because it's just not the right fit, right?
Yeah. They thought they were getting something they weren't.
And I think
that's on us.
And that's vetting in a good fit. That's important. But like what things are leading into now is, I used to have like about a year or a year and a half ago, a lot of great ongoing conversations on LinkedIn, like in the DM. That was great for networking. Mm-hmm. Now I'm getting pitched like 5 pitches a day. Like I don't even check my DMs anymore. A
lot of people
LinkedIn.
think we're dentists because of the name.
They do, yeah.
And I say to them, that's actually a pre-qualifier, because I'm like, if you took 3 seconds to look at the description of our business.
Well, and what people don't realize is like we have a paid version of LinkedIn, so we can see who looks at the page.
We used to.
Oh, we used to. But anyway, so we can
delete. I don't want that.
So if we, anyways, so
we should get it back.
We're correlating, somebody that's not even doing their research and just spamming. I hate spam. Like I get it. It's the scale game, and you want to like hit 5,000 emails and convert one, but I just think it's made it unbearable. Like my email is just, I'm the type of person that, now it's turned me off of opening up anything other than something that I like really know that it's relevant for me. Like I'm the one that like I see a 1 on my inbox and I gotta like get rid of that 1. Now I've got like, 20,000 unread emails on my phone now.
But that's like like these email providers, they're smart to it now too. They've built AI into our emails. Yeah. So you've got your primary account, your focused account. Yeah. Which is those are emails that your email has now figured out, oh, this is the one Tyler's going to respond to. Yeah. And then it sequesters all the other emails. Yeah. I mean, prior to this, it was junk, right? Shit would go into your junk folder, and it's just junk, spam, whatever. But now our emails have become more refined to say, not only can we sequester your junk, we're going to separate off emails that you probably aren't going to look at. Like my emails figured that out. I want to go back to your question about the human, though.
Yes.
So so automation, this is very relevant in our industry, right? So, so I work for Sinclair Dental. Okay. I work as a dental consultant. We have our own company, Dentist on Demand. You and I both work here. You spend most of your time building videos and editing, and we do great content advertising for our clients, right? So going back to the human element of it is that there's so much that's involved in what we do on the equipment, supplies, and service side of things, which you have a background in as well. And there's so much we do on the content creation side of things. I think that like contextualizing what the client needs, right? Like, are we ever going to be able to replace a human when a dentist comes to me and says, how should I market my practice?
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's tons of like, and I would be lying if I said I didn't use these tools, but I think people overuse these tools.
They're tools.
Yes. And now we'll talk about AI. AI is about good prompting. So, it's not a replacement. It's using it as a tool to really curate your message properly. And you're not just putting in one single line. You're actually writing the email and using profiles so that it knows sort of the more variables in place. Like, I can tell when somebody's terrible at using AI. I can tell. At least you're honest.
I mean, I use it as I need it, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? I really need to write a proposal for something. Write a proposal for me that says this and this and this.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I'm the transaction guy.
Yeah.
Right. Creative, transaction. So I live in DocuSign.
Yeah.
So for me, we create the proposal. I have now started using AI more now to write proposals.
Yeah.
But I'm in like, there's your contract. I DocuSigned it to you. Sign it, get it back to me, give me your deposit, off we go. So yeah, sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you.
I don't even remember what I was saying.
But AI as a tool.
Yes, AI as a tool.
So AI as a tool for me is that like, I've been more reluctant to use AI than you have because it's funny that Tyler the creator, Mark the creator, this is your title. My title is Tyler the transactor. Right.
Is that it? Is that official now?
Tyler the transactor.
I like how that you've, over our 7 years, you've really like, what are our
roles,
our positions are in this thing,
yeah.
And as two guys running this thing, we kind of do everything. But yeah, oh man.
Well, I think that because I'm a bit of a podcast junkie, right? So I listen to guys like Gary Vee, The Looney Hour. Ron Butler Mortgage, highly entertaining. Another really interesting podcast.
One of my favorite things is like when you'll hear an idea and then you get fixated on it for like a couple of weeks.
I obsess over it.
We got to do this. Yeah, Ty. Yeah. Where did you hear this?
Like my new idea came to you yesterday.
Yeah,
like, we really need to centralize our online scheduling. Let's make that happen today.
I know.
You're like, we have to write all new code for that. What are you talking about?
Okay, calm down, Ty. Calm down.
No, this needs to happen this afternoon.
We're honest, we're on a mission here with some other things, but let's talk about it. Let's hash it out. Like, how fun is it? How fun is this? Like, one of my favorite things, and like I talked about this on my solo thing. One of my most favorite things to do, and this has been, with 90%, 95% of the time, it's been with you, or, the 5% where we're talking with, a great, client or whatever, or some sort of partner. Like partner or whatever. But how fun is it to sit in a room and talk about ideas, and how difficult it is to, execute.
Oh man, execution is like, it's like 99% of the work. Like, it's just executing is layers upon layers of heartache, sweat, blood, tears, stress, no sleep, anxiety. Yeah,
lots of anxiety.
I'm describing what it is to run a business, and you know this. Like, as an entrepreneur, you're just like,
well,
everything counts.
And here we are, and you just said, like, your front, or your main salary is from Sinclair.
Which is me running my own business too.
Yes. A justification.
Yeah. It's all one
at the
part
end.
One, yeah.
It is. At the end of the day, it's the time, right? And how hard is it to juggle? And you're like, I remember this. Somebody referred to you as an octopus. because you're juggling a
School.
lot of things. You're in this room, you're doing like acting stuff. Like you've always enjoyed keeping yourself busy in that. Like what?
I think I have ADD, so I'm
You do,
like, if
yeah.
I spend time in the acting world, I spend time in the writing world, I spend time creating with you, I spend time transacting, I spend time being a visionary,
Yeah.
or trying to be a visionary.
How do you keep your brain together? Like what do you do?
I
Like-
drink.
You drink, yeah.
No, I'm. Well, I mean, full disclosure. I mean, like, you know, that is a struggle of mine, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, it's
And
very
thank-
difficult for me.
Thank you for
to-
getting into it. Yeah.
So for me, it's like it's a slippery slope, right? I come from a family where alcoholism is very prevalent. So it's, for me, it's I can be very careful, right? I gotta be very
Yeah.
cautious with that particular side of my persona. So for me, it's like, yeah, like 1 or 2 glasses of wine at the end of the night is fine. Anything beyond 2 glasses of wine, the anxiety sets in. I can't sleep. It becomes and that might just be an age problem too. I just probably getting old. But how do I juggle it all and like take the drinking thing with a grain of salt? I don't like, that's just more me being being me. But I think it's a challenge. For me, it's a good challenge. It's the challenge I've chosen to live with, right? So if I spent every waking minute of the day selling supplies and equipment, I'd probably go crazy.
Yeah, I did it for 3 years. I can't.
Right.
I can't. Yeah.
And it's a hard job.
Yeah, it is a
right?
hard job.
Like, it's a hard job to win business. And I say this with respect to not only my colleagues at the company I work for, but even like my competitors. Like it's a cutthroat, nasty, difficult job.
It's dirty.
It's just
So dirty.
It's just awful.
It's even dirty amongst. It's a dirty amongst colleagues, even. You know.
It's a sales job, right?
Yeah.
You know that you're coming through the door against 2 or 3 other people. It's just the nature of the business.
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, when you say like, how do we juggle all these things? I think it's almost like I almost need all these things to keep my sanity.
Yeah.
You know, like I need the release. Like Katrina, my wife, we've been partners for many, many years, and she's probably the reason why I'm able to do a lot of this stuff. I'd say I'm quite certain that without her, I wouldn't be able to do a lot of this stuff.
Mm.
She really is the anchor. She's the rock. She's the center of gravity. I can skirt the edges. She's right in the middle going, what's he doing now?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So she's been the main foundation for why like 25, 30 years ago, I'm like, so I asked her to marry me. And I think, I asked her to marry me on January 1st, 2001.
On New Year's Day.
New Year's Day.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So when I asked her to marry me, she said yes, thank God. I think the next words out of my mouth are, I need to remind you that I want to be an actor.
Yeah.
Right. So that was very cognizant in my mind. It was very much the forefront of my mind. I'm like, remember now, like, thank you for saying yes. I'm very blessed to have you in my life, but this is not going to be an easy life for us. Like, I've chosen a career path that I'm very stubborn. Like, if I choose to do something, I'm not quitting until I'm either dead or I've succeeded.
Yeah.
Or I've at least have some level of success where I'm like, okay, I'm happy with that success.
Sure.
We've had some success here. I can move on.
Yeah.
So now you got me on this Pandora's box with
Good.
what helps me do all these things.
Sorry, not
That was
sorry.
that was our contract way back when. It's like, Katrina's like, if I say yes, I'm committed. Like, we're gonna go. We're gonna do this thing together. I'm like, cool. And like, trust me, man. Like, there have been times when it's like, I'm sure she's regretted her decision to stay with me. But at the end of the day, she has always had my back. She's always been there for me. She's always been like, don't worry, we're gonna get through this. And that, like, behind every great person, and I'm not even calling myself that, I'm saying if anyone that's succeeded in life, there's a reason they say behind every great man there's a great woman, and she's not even behind me. She's in front of me. Like, she's like leading the way half the time. So I don't think that statement is really fair. I think it's more like you're two people standing together and you're fighting together. Like, she's beside me and we're just going, right? So without that, I would be fucking lost. I would not know what I'm doing. I'd be like, she's like the North Pole. She's like, she's the thing in the middle. I'm like the tetherball going around going, I'm going to do this thing. And I think this is going to work. And she's like, I trust you. Everything you've done in the past seemed to have worked, so I'm going to trust you again. So as we get older and I come to her with these harebrained ideas, she's like, okay, that sounds kind of crazy. Sounds expensive. Sounds like we're going to eat Mr. Noodles for a couple of years again. But I guess we're going to have to do this thing because Tyler wants to do it.
Yeah.
Right? So when anyways. So that's a big part of it. But then from the day-to-day side of it, it's, we've built this, man.
I know, it's cool.
The reason I can get through all of the octopus things, or we can get through these, is because I have you, I have her, I have like a great network of friends. I'm blessed to work for a company like Sinclair that's like, just run. Do what Tyler does, you know. And I also really enjoy everything we do. I really enjoy working at Sinclair. I really enjoy the stuff we do with Dentist On Demand. I love talking to my clients about like, hey, you know what? Let's get Mark in here. Let's shoot a video. Let's get some great content on you and your team. Let's really highlight why this dental practice is as amazing as it is.
How many fucking cool stories are out there? Like people like us living, grinding it, trying to make it in this industry. It's a tough industry. There's lots of great talented people that they're not going to think twice about stealing your business. Nope. There's, you know, I hate to say it, there's haters out there, you know, like there's people that wish you unwell out there. And I think that's like, I wish them well.
Yeah.
I think there's a place where everybody can win now. I think this old school mentality that like it's this cutthroat thing. I think the more I've delved deeper into this whole thing, and it kind of dovetails onto your like, you can't do it on your own. I think, you know, even competition helps you rise to the occasion. It helps you really. And I'm not the type that like fixates on what the competitors are doing. I think if you fixate on that, you're more or likely to miss the beautiful thing that it is that you're creating on your own, and like you'll create things to counteract whatever it is that they're doing and miss the genuine tentacles that you're building, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. And
you know, I think we're entering an age where we just like, we gotta like collaborate more, even if it is with like competing entities, you know,
There's so much overlap in dentistry.
And I think like everybody's getting more, I mean, whether it's, you're selling the same glove, that's not obviously not going to work. But in our case, it might be, you know, as a marketing. And you and I have worked with like multiple other marketing firms, right? What is it that like we're all getting more specialized in what we're doing? And I think if you're not like, even as a dental consultant, if you're not like differentiating yourself, you're getting lost in the white noise. And you see with the folks that really hone in, like the successful, you know, dental reps out there. They're the ones that are like really like, you're buying from that particular person because this is the value that they're bringing. And a lot of that has to do with just answering a phone. That's tough to find these days.
Well, just being there for someone, right? In this world of automation, just picking up your phone or responding to someone in a timely manner can sometimes really just be the difference.
Yep.
Right. And just saying, yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Right? I don't got you right now because I'm driving my car, but I got you. I'm going to get this taken care of. But I think that, just to sort of go back to your point about specialization. Okay. So like it's been a 7-year journey for you and I with Dentist On Demand, right? And we've it's been a tug of war at times. Sometimes it's been a wrestling match. Other times, like, what are we doing here? And I think that what's wonderful is that we have a really collaborative relationship, and not just between you and I, but with the people we work with. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, when I say tug of war, or like the conflict is always, half of it's in my head, because I'm like, are we a marketing company? Are we an advertising company? Are we like, how? Because, you know, people want labels, right? They're like, what is Dentist On Demand? What are you guys doing?
Well, and that's important in the services that you're selling. It's really important. Mm-hmm. Like, and you and I, it takes a while to figure that out. And a lot of that is a realization of, what niche, what things you can offer that nobody else can or few people can. Like, what are your gifts that you're offering? And for us, it's, you have a lengthy background, and your schooling is all in essentially content.
Yeah.
And storytelling.
I have a BFA in theater.
I'm
Bachelor of fuck all.
I'm a career nerd here now, and like I keep getting pushed back into this. Is like, this is what we can offer, right? We arguably, as a dental content company, I'm not even tooting my own horn here, but if we look at the dental practice from a business perspective, arguably, I think I can run a dental if I was running a dental practice, it would fucking kick ass. It'd probably be the busiest dental practice in town. I'm not even shitting you.
Okay, why?
Because I know how to do it.
What makes you think you can say that?
Because I've seen everybody and I've educated myself.
You've been in enough practice.
I've been in, and I've had enough lengthy conversations with the guys that are getting it right to know that formula.
So yeah, and I think to add to that point, when people say, "What do you and Mark do? What is Dentist on Demand?" And I think at the core of it, yes, we are creating a niche marketing. It is a niche marketing agency where we create a lot of dental content.
Yeah,
and we know about.
And what does that mean? That means us, flying out to Edmonton and working with Stacy and Derek on things like, their Toothy product, which is fantastic, or a dental laboratory, and we've worked with several dental laboratories now on their, and it's always been sort of their content piece, right? And obviously our brick and mortar bread and butter is our advertisement for the dental practice, right?
Yeah. So I was gonna go digress a little bit more on the whole, like, me using the skill set. Like I got a Bachelor of Fine Arts in acting in theater, right? So I did that for a period of time, and then I found myself like, okay, I'm going to add, in 2010, just to give some background, like I was working, like I obviously got my start sort of around 2000, started gaining momentum, started working on more TV shows as an actor, blah, blah, blah. And then by around 2000, the film industry faced some adversity because the Olympics came to town. So a lot of actors were out of work for a while. So it was around that time, I'm like, oh, maybe we should, I think we had Colby, our son, in 2009. So it's ironic that like sort of the peak of my acting career, I was like, the busiest I'd ever been was 2008. And then the financial crash happened. And then the dollar hit parity. And I know that sounds weird to say, but it's like when the dollar hits parity in Canada back in those days.
Well, yeah, that makes total, like,
it killed the industry.
Film's it wasn't
financially viable anymore.
Yeah.
So I was at that point in my life, I'm like, oh man, I should really I need to get a side hustle. I need to get a side hustle to my side hustle. I was painting houses and doing other things, but it was at that point when I'm like, okay, we have a kid, we have a house, we have car payments to make. Then it was like I had to start thinking like a big boy, and okay, well, maybe I should start putting some money aside for retirement. What do I do, right? So I started looking around, and a good friend of mine, an old friend of mine, Kevin Foley, it's a small industry, right?
It is a small industry.
We work for competing companies, but we're still friends. He's the guy that called me. He's like, hey man, like, do you want to get into dental?
Foley, was that Foley? Yeah.
Kevin Foley got me into dental. He works for Patterson now.
Yeah.
Good guy, right? Like we've been friends for so long.
Yeah, there's lots of great folks at Patterson too. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
every company.
I'm not saying that like I'm like, wow, that's so surprising.
What a revelation.
Wow. No, there are a lot of like really cool people. Like, and it's unfortunate that we're competing, but
well, that's the bar we have to set. Right?
I know, it's silly.
When I go in and quote something, I know who my competitors are. I'm like, oh man, I got to quote against that guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we know. Anyways, my point is that like, so he got me in, and then that's where I was kind of like, okay, well, maybe this dental sales thing is going to work. So this was, like 15 years ago. And then from there, it's like, okay, well, now how can I leverage my creativity to grow my dental business? Mm-hmm. And that's really kind of the genesis for this. This is kind of everything we've done up to this point really kind of feeds into where we are now. I was doing, they weren't even called podcasts back then, but I was doing these videos back in 2013, 2014, where I'd bring the manufacturer in. And if you go on YouTube, you can see the DentalByte videos, which is what we're still using the name, right?
Yeah, it's great.
So
we've got a long history.
DentalBytes. Long history.
Yeah, we got a, yeah.
Like 2014, we're doing they weren't called podcasts, but they were podcasts of me bringing the manufacturer in and talking about, okay, 3M, tell us about your new cement. You know what I mean?
The goop, yeah.
And people are like, why are you doing that? And I'm like, well, if I go into a dental office and a dentist says, can you show me an alternative cement? I'll be like, well, here's my podcast. Watch this.
And how much is an excuse for just educating yourself on things? Like a lot of the motivation is it's kind of selfish too. Like I think you and I have like this innate need to know, to learn, and how much, like the obvious thing, knowledge is power. Like the more you know how the cogs and the wheels all work together, the more you're informed to make the better steps and better decision making.
Yeah.
Even if that is like learning about 3M's new, great hydrophilic, whatever.
Well, okay. So like when I got into dental, I worked for a lab company called Central Dental. And it was kind of I won't say the dawn of the CAD/CAM era, because CEREC has been around for 30 years. However, it was kind of around that 2014 time frame where other machines and scanners started entering the market. So 3Shape started to become big in North America. Roland was starting to make a name for themselves. VHF, which was a German company making these amazing milling machines for prosthetics for crown and bridge. These companies started coming into North America. And so it was right at that time, I'm like, okay, well, at that time, the company I worked for wasn't selling CEREC. So I was like, okay, well, what do I do now? And so I cut my teeth, pardon the pun.
No.
Hey,
I have so many sound effects I never use them anymore. Anyways.
I came into dental knowing jack shit. I knew nothing.
Yeah.
But what I was probably astute on my part was identifying that I knew nothing. I'm like, I don't know anything about this shit.
Yeah.
How am I going to learn about this stuff? There's so much to know. There's burrs. There's cement. There's gauze.
Yeah.
There's like, what's an HVE? Like, what's a saliva ejector? What's the difference between a high volume and a saliva ejector? I don't freaking know. What's that trap? Yeah. What does that arm do? What's that machine? That's big and scary. Oh, it's emitting radiation. Great. I'm glad I'm standing beside it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you don't you're like, how do you begin? Like, where do you start?
Yeah, I know.
Right?
A company that you and I both worked for previously.
We won't name.
Oh, we won't name, but go to our.
Come on,
we name them. There's lots of. I thank the folks over there at Henry Schein for
great company.
Giving me the best dental education. So,
100%.
Henry Schein has this, like, for their employees, they have a learning portal for their employees.
Oh, that's right. I remember.
And there's like 500 learning modules. I did them all.
Yeah.
I
did none.
You did none, but like, man, I learned about so much. Like, a lot of it is like so much goop.
Yeah,
so much goop.
Well, so that's okay. So that's interesting. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah,
because that shows your learning journey.
Yeah,
I don't want to cut you off.
You never do that.
I never cut you off.
Yeah.
So that's your learning journey, right? So you come into dental. I'm like, hey, man, you got to get into dental.
You brought me into this world.
I suggested you should get into dental.
Yeah, you suggested.
I'm like, hey, man, I've been in this for a little while. I'm really
give it a shot.
It.
Give it a
you
shot.
should try it out.
Yeah.
So you get in, you get on at Henry Schein, you go into this learning portal.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of resources for you to learn how to be a dental rep, right?
Yeah, and subsequently went into the most difficult season of my life.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. Yeah. It was fucking really, really, really tough time. And
can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, like why things. It's whether things. There's always the saying like things happen for a reason, and et cetera, et cetera. Sure. Okay. Yeah.
So you started at Henry Schein.
I started at Henry Schein, and then my sister was diagnosed with brain cancer, which was like, like, yeah, here's your biggest supporter, and we talk about like the cats, your wife of the world, like the people that have your back and they're in your corner, to now, holy fuck, like, so that, and then
So when was she diagnosed?
she was diagnosed in 2017.
Okay, so this is like a year after you started at Shine.
About a year after. So I'm digging in. I've got like the backlog lists of clients, and I'm flogging around, getting just beat up around town. I remember sitting outside of a dental practice and like it just being ripping down rain, and
a new dental rep in Vancouver.
Yeah,
in the monsoons.
and like I'm like,
oh God, that pains
it's
me.
pouring rain. The windshield wipers are flicking back and forth, and I've got music on, but I can't really hear anything. I'm just kind of sitting out there. I know I have to go into this call and get an order or whatever, and just get flogged and beat up by the same CDA that beats me up every week because I made a fuck up on their light body or whatever that might be, right? Yeah. I didn't want this light body, I wanted this other light body. Oh, fuck. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I'll fix it right away.
And like just
the sense of urgency to fix that is like, oh my God.
Yeah, but I understand, like this is their world. Like if they don't have the materials that they need, they can't do dentistry. So
just a little sidebar for anyone listening right now: dental reps make 100% commission. They are paid solely on commission.
Yeah.
So when something goes badly, a dental rep's stress level goes a little higher, because not only are we trying to make sure they have the right thing, we're also trying to prove to that office that we're competent and we know what we're doing.
And there's so many fucking things.
And there's a lot, right? So that's why being a dental rep is such a difficult learning curve, because you're like, I not only do I have to build a patient base, but I have to learn all these products and get it right. So when someone says to you, hey, get me some cement, you're like, cool. Yeah. Well, which of the 50 types do you want? Yeah.
Or my favorite was the gloves. Like I didn't want minus the more lighter pink. That's the one I like.
Right. But I always try to have empathy in that situation and say, okay, you know what? This person's also trying to just do their job well. And they're like, in their mind, they're like, this putz can't get my glove order
100%. Right. And I don't blame them. Right?
Don't blame them at all.
And another thing too is like, personally, I'm not a big corporate guy. Like I'm an ideas guy. I like to have the freedom to create, and that environment was not the one for me. Right.
So you're in Vancouver. It's raining. The windshield wipers are going.
Yeah. Yeah. And just being just completely devastated with my sister being sick. Krista's pregnant, right? Like I'm about to be a dad, and like it was just like the world was very heavy at that. It still is.
You had the gravity suit on. I
had the gravity suit on, and that's very difficult in was tough to overcome. So, whether that was just like, I don't think if things were in the right place, I would be there anyways. I think maybe that just kind of ushered me out to I keep falling back in this chair. And like this, we always try and find our purpose, you know what I mean? Like, and I think I know now, like this is kind of like my spot in the industry. It took me however many bloody years it's been to figure out 8 years, 9 years,
but it started as a passion project, right? Like when so I want to talk about how we both connected on Dentist on Demand.
Yeah.
But that's a harrowing story, man. Like for you to be trying to like get started as a dental rep, your sister's been diagnosed with brain cancer. How long did she have?
Yeah, it was a tough 2 years, man. She got her initial surgery, and then she bounced back, and it's so for that diagnosis, it's like 5% of people live more than 5 years. So it's like it was a death sentence, holy crap.
And just to go through all that, you've got a new baby on the way.
Yeah.
Your sister's not doing well.
Yeah.
That's a lot, man.
It was quite a bit. It was heavy. But am I the only one that goes through stuff out there? Was it the right fit for me in the end? Probably not, right? Like,
Part of the journey.
It's part of the journey. But like, I'm so grateful to, especially guys like Adam Jones and John Meredith for spending the time with me. Like, if they hear this at all, like, I really appreciate it. Even the Prashants too. I got to meet, Prashant was around before. Now he's like conquering the planet in the Henry Schein world, which, congratulations on that. But like, grateful, super grateful. I think, I still see those guys walking around, and it's not a handshake, it's a hug, right? Like, it's, they get it. Like, it was tough for them too.
Good dudes. Yeah.
They knew what was going on as well. But like, for us, in our whirling around the figuring things out, it's like, what sort of value can you bring in, right? Like, what is it that you can do or provide or sing or whistle or dance that really helps somebody out? Because like, that's the position for business for me is, sure, you're going to buy your CERAC or a scanner or a piece of software or marketing from me, but like, how am I going to then be the best, like prove that you made the best choice and doing business with me? And I give a shit, Yeah. And the tough part about, going through that heavy shit when I did was I couldn't deliver like I wanted to. You know what I mean? Like, I was just
kind of handcuffed.
I came out of the food service world like on the top, right? So it's like weird coming from the top, then starting sort of from scratch. No, I don't regret it at all. I think it was the best move ever, but, it's okay to be human, right? Yeah. And you fall, and this is, part of you being back in this room is you fell.
It's part of the journey, man.
You fell, man. Like, and it was like a fucking tough year. You lost your mom.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, it'll be a year in June, but it's you went through a bit of a tumultuous time. I went through a tumultuous time, and I think that it teaches you a lot about yourself. You're like, is it, you start to, for me, it's like, there's moments of, it's weird. Like when I was younger, I'd be like, I'm going to do this thing and I'd be passionate about it. And so now that I'm older and I've done a lot, I'm like, that sounds neat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like I think that when you've created a business, when you're out there in the battlefield and you're doing all these things and you're kind of tired, you're like, you start to question, like, okay, you become a lot more critical. You're like, okay, and like, not in a bad way. You're like, okay, well, cool. I like your idea. Someone will pitch an idea and be like, they'll say, Tyler, hey, you're a creative guy. We should do this thing. And I'm like, awesome.
Yeah.
Why?
It's like, and I'll call that spinning tires.
A little bit. Like, people come to me with ideas and I'll be like, that's cool. And I'm like, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but why do you want to do that? Oh, it'd be a great idea though. It'd be a great business, but why?
We're at a point where we can't. Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, that's cool, but let's really investigate. Let's ask a lot of questions to the market and see if that would be something that they're interested in. I think
because we've been through it with this.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have a great idea and they would consider they would purchase it themselves. If I've talked a lot about this in my solo podcast, is it's great. You would buy it, but would the market, and that is the toughest. That's the toughest game. And it's how would you communicate that in sales and marketing? It's maybe a great idea, but nobody would purchase it because you're not telling or educating the best. And development, man, holy
it's expensive.
Crap. It's expensive to develop.
Let's go back to the genesis of Dentist on Demand.
Let's do it. Yeah,
I mean, not to get too into the business side of it, but it's like, okay, one day, this is literally how Dentist on Demand came to be, okay? I'm sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
Actually, sorry, I want to go back.
I'm glad you weren't on the toilet. That would be.
I wasn't on the toilet. I might have been. I don't know. But sorry, I want to go back. I'm going to get into the genesis stuff first, but just comparing how you learned about dentistry to how I learned about dentistry.
Yeah.
We were going somewhere with that. And the difference is I didn't do that training. So when I got hired for this at Central Dental, marvelous company, like really family-run company, really nice people. Joe Smith, shout out to him. Love that guy and like one of the kindest human beings on the planet. It was one of those jobs where I left and I cried.
Yeah.
I left that job and I cried because I was like, I was so overwhelmed with emotion by leaving that company because I went on to something, bigger and better. But at the same, or in my perception, it was bigger and better, is that I was so distraught that I felt like I had really let Joe down. And that was really, really hard for me. Anyway, so I moved on, but my point is that I moved on to this bigger and better company, or sorry, bigger, I should say, because no disrespect to Joe. When I moved to this other company, I was a real sort of humbling experience of knowing how little I knew about dentistry still. And on the clinical side.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when I was at Central, I did the same thing. I'm like, I know nothing. Not only do I know nothing about dentistry, I know nothing about labs. Like, what the frick? What is a lab? What's a lab do?
That's a whole other piece to the puzzle. For sure. Yeah.
And so the only way, and Katrina can attest to this, the only way I really tried to combat it is that I'm gonna know more about digital dentistry than any other rep on the fucking planet.
Yeah, and that's yeah.
And so I immersed myself in that. I'm going to learn what CEREC is. I'm going to learn what these other machines are. I'm going to learn the difference between what's the difference between a CEREC and the way it mills a tooth and a 5-axis VHF or a roll-in mill. Like, what's the difference between those two? Okay, what's a scanner? What's a 3-axis scanner? What's a 5-axis scanner? These are all lab scanners, by the way.
Yes.
But why would I want a 3-axis scanner versus a 5-axis scanner? What does that do? One does undercuts, one doesn't. Like, I really just sort of dove into that. And so I sat up at night, drinking wine, going through the books, the textbooks, like book after book after book, like the catalog, like, okay, here's what this machine does. Here's what the 3-shape box lab scanner does. You can get the basic D800 model. Here's what the D800 model does. Okay, great. Here's the D900 model. Here's what the D9. So really studying that shit so that I could almost be an expert in CAD/CAM.
And, I got to give a shout out to the lab world too, like the Neil Applebaums, the Jeff Players, the Garretts.
I learned more from ProTech than a textbook.
James and David Newber at Ocean Ceramics, Stanley, our buddy, guys. Our bro Stanley, we can't forget
Stanley
him.
Yee, Crown, yeah.
Yeah.
So like Stanley Yee, Neil Applebaum, Jeff Player, Garrett Van Chalwick, Stanley Yee, James and David Newber, all these guys. I would come in and I'd be like, tell me what this machine does.
And what's really cool?
And they would.
Yeah, what's really cool? If and it's amazing is, especially in the lab world, I found if you're keen to learn, those guys, they're teaching all day long.
Yeah.
They're teaching all,
if you're a new dental rep, go to a lab. Ask them about stuff.
Because
they'll tell you.
Not only do they know the technology, they know how to. Their mutual clients are dentists, so they're used to dealing with the relationship with the dental clinic.
Yeah. So you got the learning modules.
Yeah.
I threw myself into a textbook, and that's really kind of how I schooled myself. And then, of course, ironically, one night I'm sitting there late at night. And I'm kind of going through some stuff, and I'm like, okay, this person asked me about a CBCT. I better read up on this because I have no idea what a CBCT is.
Yeah.
So I'm reading it, and this ad comes on the TV. And it was an ad in the United States for Doctors on Demand.
Yeah.
And I remember watching this, and it says, for $40, you can have a consultation, a virtual consultation over the phone or over whatever media, Zoom. At that time, this must have been 2015, I'm going to say. Or maybe even sooner, maybe 2014, I'm not even sure. Anyway, so I see this ad, and I'm like, Doctors on Demand. And the concept made so much sense to me. I'm like, oh, you can just talk to a dentist virtually from your own room. But it was an American thing. It wasn't in Canada. And so that was the start of the journey of me saying, the first thing I said to myself is that, I'm like, there must be a dentist on demand. Why wouldn't there be a dentist on demand?
Yeah.
Being completely ignorant about how completely different these two industries are, like medical and dentistry, it's funny because they're situated close to each other, but there's an ocean between these two industries.
Yeah.
Single payer, private. Just it's so different. Anyway, so in my naive fashion, I'm like, is there a domain name, Dentist on Demand? Oh, there is. Oh, it's for sale. Purchase.
Yeah.
The next day, Katrina's like, why is there a $2,500 bill on our credit card? What's going on? Anyway, so I bought it, but that really kind of began this.
Yeah.
This is where this all started. And I'm like, okay, you know what? If there's a central directory where anyone in the world can go and plug in their postal code, zip code, wherever they are in the world. And when they do that, all the dentists around them pop up on this directory. And I call it Dentist on Demand. This seems like a really cool business idea.
Yeah.
Right? And then, of course, I start building the website. I'm going, working with marketing companies. And, of course, I'm paying all this money. And I'm like, wow, this is getting really expensive all of a sudden. And then the website looked like shit. And I'm like, this is not what I wanted the website to look like. This is not even close. And then that was the journey. It was trial and error. Like we trial and errored for like 6 years, where it's like, it's still not what we wanted to be. You know what I mean? Like it's still.
I would say that like now we have a more definitive, clear, getting crystal where
it'll never be what we wanted to be, right?
Here's the thing: you and I are these visionaries. Where like our problem is we need to kind of just like stay in the lane for long enough.
Down.
We got to slow down and not pivot from the things that like are really working, and we're getting there. It's just like we know a lot of people. We talk to a ton of people, podcasts wise. I think we're 160. We're talking to all these people that really like puts other ideas in our minds, and it takes us off on a tangent where it's like this is what we're doing. We're telling, at the end of the day, we're telling stories across the whole spectrum of dentistry. This podcast is about that, but like truly our marketing piece is about that to patients. Let's stay away from the bastardizing in the perspective of a patient and commoditizing something like Invisalign. Like stop.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, so what that did for me, that's a whole other.
I can quickly get on the soapbox quick. Yeah.
But what that did for me is that it was really helpful in my learning journey, because what it did is it made me realize. So now when you and I get pitched an idea, we're like, you got like 30 seconds, bro. And like, you're really pulling me away from the shit I need to do right now.
Yeah.
So this, like, if this isn't good, I'm going to be pissed.
Yes.
Right. So now what does that do for me as a salesperson? That makes me cognizant of the fact that when I walk through the door and I pitch somebody on something, it better be something they're looking for.
At least do your goddamn research on who you're pitching to.
If you come in and you pitch somebody something cold, right? Like Neil Applebaum, most patient man in the world. And he's put up with a lot of my rhetoric. He's listened to a lot of my pitches. And sometimes, I can see him just being like, dude, I got a lot of fish to fry right now, and this ain't one of them.
Yeah.
Right? So, because I know and when I say patient, he'd be patient. He'd listen to me. He'd be like, yeah, okay, and sometimes he'd take my idea, and sometimes he wouldn't. He'd be like, that's a good idea. Let's use that. But most of the time it was like, no, I don't have time for that, Tyler. Like, let's just get back to the task at hand. We need to make sure the lab is doing better. Same with a dentist, right? I come to a dentist and I'm like, I was thinking about your practice, so I think this would really serve you well. And the dentist just looks at you like, are you kidding me? I've got a DB, what's it called? A 5 or 4 surface, like tooth that's like bombed out that I'm trying to fix right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to preserve this guy's tooth, and you're coming in.
And the team's been fighting. Like So I'm trying to pay the bills.
My AR is $100,000 behind. I just had 2 people quit. I've got a patient in the chair who's in extreme pain, and they're about to jack up my lease rate. And you want to talk to me about a new composite?
And I got to get the kids to fucking sports at the end.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyways, my point is, so what that did is it helped me. It really taught me empathy in the way that, like, just to sort of be chill and be there and be a resource.
Yeah.
And stop trying to push it on people.
It's the long game.
It's the long game, but it's also like when someone's ready to ask you, like there's been countless times when I pitch something to a client, I'm like, you should do this. And they're like, uh-huh. And then 6 months later, like, hey, you know what would be really cool is if I did this. I'm like, yeah, I told you 6 months ago.
You programmed it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, I didn't program it, but I'm like, they weren't ready to listen 6 months ago.
Sure.
Because they had too much other shit on their mind.
Right.
They're like, no, I don't have time to listen to this. I'm sure that's a good idea, Tyler, but I've got a situation in front of me that I just can't look away from. Right.
Tyler, in terms of things like not to
I just ramble on now.
No, it's great. This has been awesome. Tyler, it's great to have you back in studio. It's been a hell of a journey with you, my friend. Looking forward to like several more years, whatever it takes to get this thing to where it belongs.
I think the storytelling, the content.
Yeah. it's working.
That's our niche, man.
It is. And speaking of why that is we have a meeting booked with a client that we've got to go chat with. Yeah, right. So let's keep our minds on that. And we got to go. We've got tons of people that we got to take care of. Thank you so much to the folks that have, invested with us.
My camera there. That's my camera here.
Yeah, it's yours here.
There it is. Thank you. All of our clients.
Thank you very much.
You know who you are. We really appreciate it.
We really appreciate you. And, there's a great client out there that just learned this term from her, as old as gold, and really obviously we're not perfect. We have to do, you always can do a better job, but, that's our goal. That's our aim, is to service you and to provide the utmost value to whatever it is. The folks that we've worked with in the past that we're no longer working with, thank you. Sometimes there's just timeline projects that happen, and then there's nothing after that, and that's the way she goes. But
we are evolving.
We are evolving.
We're always changing. We're evolving.
Yeah.
We have new products in the company, new software.
Yeah.
So and even our partners. I got to give a shout out to Care Crew, man. Those guys have been a great partner of ours for a number of years now.
Yeah. Solid.
And bringing companies like SmilePass into the fold, or whatever new innovations. The great thing about our situation is that we are approached by a lot of people who do have some really cool innovations. So, and
if you have an idea out there, let us help you tell your story. That's what we do. We tell your story. Even the dental clinics, we want to tell your story to patients. We want to, that's our forte. If you're, listen, the whole side, this is what we don't all have a brick and mortar, foot traffic location. You really need to tell your story online and do that in a way that really reveals in a genuine way what you're all about. If you go into the red ocean pool of commoditizing $1,000 off of something, a procedure or something like that, you will be quickly left in the white noise. If you make it about who you are,
it's not cheap in the industry,
at the core, and you make it about your purpose and your passion for your patients, you will grow your dental practice with patients that will keep coming back to you. And we see that time and time again. If you want the transient patient that wants a procedure done, go that route. But that is going to be a more commoditized route for you. It's going to be very stressful. Grow your practice. Just grow your practice with the right patients.
I like that analogy that Michael gave when we presented at the PDC. When he talks about who's the hero of the story.
Yeah.
Who is the hero of the story?
Yeah. And the end of the day, for all of us, it's all of these things that we're putting together, it's about the patient, really. And
the patient is the hero of the dentist story. If they're the hero, what's the dentist?
Yeah. And your lifestyle will become the product of, doing the right things. And that's, from guys like Jan Jaffer or, Kyle Stanley.
I just try to be
or
Yoda.
Sadif Fazell, all these people that are just aiming to do the right thing and provide their patients with the absolute best care and educate themselves. They're the ones that are enjoying their careers more and not grinding. And if
you can be Yoda to your patients.
Yes.
I want to, my goal is I always try to be Yoda to my clients.
Yeah.
I'm okay, well, Tyler, what's the best composite to use?
Yeah.
Well, let's define composite.
Yeah.
Where is the composite?
You got to do that in the Yoda voice. So. Anyways, Ty, we will keep jibber jabbering. We're going to do this again, obviously.
This was fun. Thank you for having me back on.
Thank you.
Hopefully I didn't ramble on too much.
Yeah, I might not.
Went on a bit of a
you failed your test. This was the test, yeah. But that was an hour, and it goes by fast.
What? How was that an hour?
I know. Hour and 10. Thank you all, too, for tuning in, and we will see you.
Thanks for listening.
On the next episode.